Welcome to another Rice University Digital Media Commons tutorial. In this tutorial, you will learn how to use the Sony Alpha a6300 mirrorless digital camera. Please refer to the timecodes in the description to skip to specific sections that you need. The charge time for the Sony a6300 is about 150 minutes using the included AC adapter and USB cables. On a single fully charged battery, you can expect to take about 350 to 400 photos, or about 70 to 75 minutes of video. In our package, we include 2 batteries. You can also plug in the camera via USB to an external battery pack if you have one. The power switch is located on the top right of the camera, surrounding the shutter release. The mode dial is located just below the shutter release. The control dial is to the right of the mode dial. It controls aperture when in manual mode. The control wheel is located on the back of the camera. It'll be your main way of interacting with the menus by either clicking in one of the 4 directions or rotating the wheel. It also controls the shutter speed while in manual mode. The center button is used to select menu items, but it can also be held to autofocus while shooting. The function button, labeled FN, is a quick way to bring up several settings, such as white balance. The AF/MF/AEL switch at the top can be toggled between autofocus/manual focus or auto exposure lock. In autofocus/manual focus mode, you can hold the button to switch to either autofocus or manual focus, depending on what the current default is. It can be useful for making finer manual adjustments while shooting in autofocus mode. In auto exposure lock mode, the button can be held to lock exposure while shooting in auto exposure mode. The flash button will release the pop-up flash. Keep in mind that this is a mechanical button, so you may need to depress the button a little further than usual. The C1 button, or Custom Button 1, located by the shutter release, is set by default to bring up the focus mode menu. The C2 button, or Custom Button 2, located by the playback button, is set by default to bring up the white balance mode menu. Both of the custom buttons' functions can be changed in the menus. The playback button at the bottom will take you to where you can find all of the photos and videos you've captured. When in the playback view, the C2 button is used as the delete button. Several buttons on the camera are similarly labeled with an icon to indicate their alternative functions. The diopter adjustment dial next to the viewfinder is used to adjust the focus of the digital screen inside to whatever is most comfortable for you. The movie record button is located on the right corner of the camera. It's a dedicated button for starting a video recording, even when in photo mode. Let's go over the available photo modes using the mode dial. Auto mode will set all settings automatically. Depress the shutter release halfway for the camera to focus and find the exposure automatically. Program Auto works similarly, but it allows you to make changes to things, such as ISO and white balance. You can also adjust either the shutter or aperture, and the camera will adjust the other accordingly to maintain exposure. Aperture Priority allows you to adjust the aperture and will set everything else automatically. Shutter Priority allows you to adjust the shutter and will set everything else automatically. Manual Exposure allows you to control all settings. 1 and 2 are presets that you can set using the memory recall functions in the menu. Movie mode will be your best mode for setting up your camera for video. Sweep Panorama mode allows you to create a panoramic image by automatically compositing a series of photos. Scene Selection mode allows you to select certain scene presets, such as portrait, sports, and macro. These are typically ideal for beginners. The a6300 has a wide selection of focus options that can be used in different situations. There are 4 focus modes that you can find either in the function menu using the FN button or by pressing the C1 button if it's set to the default settings. AFS is single-shot autofocus. This will basically set the autofocus one shot at a time. You just hold the shutter release halfway to lock the focus on your subject before taking the photo. AFA is automatic autofocus. It'll switch between AFS and AFC automatically while holding the shutter release halfway, depending on whether the camera detects movement. This is the easiest focus mode to use. AFC is continuous autofocus. This will continually focus on any movement while holding the shutter release halfway. It's useful for tracking a moving subject. DMF is direct manual autofocus. It's a combination of AFS and manual. After you lock the autofocus, you can use the focus ring to make slight adjustments while holding down the shutter release halfway. Manual focus gives you full control over focusing. You can change the desired focus area by clicking the function button, then choosing the focus area icon. In this tutorial, we will cover 4 of the available focus area options. Wide will have the camera try to choose from the obvious subject of the frame. If there is a lot going on in the frame, you may have trouble focusing on exactly what you want. Zone lets you choose one of 9 large focus areas that tells the camera the general area to look for the subject. Center will focus directly in the center of the frame. By default, the center button is set to use the center focus area whenever you press it while shooting, as we mentioned earlier. There are 3 flexible spot options: small, medium, and large. This is a precision focus area that you can move around using the center button and pressing the control wheel in different directions. Typically, small flexible spot will be fairly difficult to use since it's such a small area. It'll tend to cause the focus to shift more erratically. Medium and large will be easier to use. Overall, the flexible spot area is a favorite among non-beginner users due to the ability to move it quickly between shots. Of course, the a6300 has several white balance options. Press the function button and choose white balance. Or you can just press C2, which is the white balance button by default. AWB is automatic white balance. This is okay for beginner photography, but it should always be avoided when shooting video. Otherwise, your video's color will fluctuate. You have a large list of different presets for different situations. At the very bottom, there is the custom setup option. If you choose this, you'll be prompted to press the center button to capture data in the center circle on the screen. You typically want to point this at a light gray card or just something of a neutral color. Once you click, you'll be prompted to select a register. If you move left or right, you can choose between 1, 2, or 3 to set your custom preset. There are some other options available when interacting with the control wheel. Clicking up on the wheel will toggle display information. Clicking left on the wheel will bring up the drive mode menu, which you can also find in the function menu. This lets you choose between single shooting, continuous shooting, otherwise known as burst, self-timing, and bracketing. Clicking right on the wheel will bring up the ISO menu, which can also be found in the function menu. Clicking down will bring up exposure compensation, which is also in the function menu. These are just shortcuts to get to these menus even faster. There are different scene modes available that are useful for beginners. Turn the mode dial to scene to choose scene mode. Then press the function button and go to the bottom right to bring up a list of different scene modes to choose from, such as portrait, sports, macro, landscape, sunset, night, and more. These will automatically adjust your camera settings to fit the particular scene that you've chosen. One of the a6300's best features is its ability to record very high-quality video. In fact, this video is shot on an a6300. To get started, set the mode dial to movie mode. Next, open the menu. Navigate to the first sub-menu with the camera icon, and then the second page. We'll be working with file format and record setting. Under file format, there are 4 options: XAVCS 4K, XAVCS HD, AVC HD, and MP4. XAVCS 4K is 4K recording. After choosing XAVCS 4K, click on Record Setting. There are 4 options here, but the only 2 you really need to pay attention to are 30p 100M and 24p 100M Super 35. The 60M variants just record at a lower bitrate, meaning smaller file sizes at the cost of lower quality. 30p records at 30 frames per second, but it'll be slightly cropped in due to technical restraints. 24p records at 24 frames per second on the full sensor, which then gets super sampled down to a crisp 4K image. XAVCS HD is 1080p Full HD recording. You'll see similar options under Record Setting. In 1080p, you will also have access to 60 frames per second in Super 35. At the bottom, you'll also see that there is a 120 frames per second cropped mode, available too for high frame rate recording. In general, you want to avoid using AVC HD or MP4 modes because they're much lower quality. Open the function menu, and you'll see that you have several options similar to the ones available in photo mode. By default, your focus mode will be on continuous autofocus, which actually works quite well on the a6300. Of course, you also have the option of using manual focus if you want precise control. In the bottom right, you can change the movie mode. They're exactly the same as the previously discussed photo mode options, but with the high frame rate, or HFR, variants as well. Shooting in one of these HFR modes will automatically convert your footage into slow motion footage. If you go back into the menu, under where we changed the record settings, you'll also see an option called HFR settings. Here you can choose if you want your HFR footage to be slowed down to either 30p or 24p. With the a6300, you can of course hook up an external microphone, such as the Rode VideoMic Pro, which is also available to check out at the DMC. One important thing to note is that you cannot monitor audio because there's no headphone jack on the a6300. In general, it is almost always better to record audio separately, using something like the Zoom H4n. If you choose to connect a Rode VideoMic, mount it to the shoe mount on top of the camera. There will be a plastic piece inside the shoe mount. Remove this and place it somewhere safe. Do not lose it. The microphone jack is located on the left side of the camera, underneath the labeled panel. On the VideoMic, set both switches to the far right. Next, open the camera menu and navigate to the first sub-menu with the camera icon. Then, go to the 8th page. Make sure audio recording is set to on. Then, click on Audio Record Level. You want to set this somewhere around 3 to 7, depending on your subject's volume. Make sure your audio is not spiking past -3 decibels on the audio levels. Moving your photos or videos to your computer is simple. You can either plug in the camera to your computer using the provided USB cables, or you can remove the SD card and insert it into your computer's SD card slot. Photos will be in the DCIM folder. Videos will be in different places depending on the file format you selected. XAVCS files will be under Private, then M4 Root, then Clip. AVC HD files will be under Private, then AVC HD, then Stream. Keep in mind on Mac you will need to right-click some of the folders and choose Show Package Contents. Thank you for watching this Rice University Digital Media Commons tutorial video. For more information about the DMC, visit our website at dmc.rice.edu.